The fear of business doesn't come from the fear of failure. The fear actually comes from right inside of us. The fear actually is that someone else in our exact same position would have done better. Someone would have made different decisions and enabled our businesses and our lives to build bigger, better, and faster. That's just nonsense. You can't be except where you are today. Zen philosophy talks about that we need to start from where we are. In order to move forward past the 5 steps of success, past the fear, and yes, sometimes past the failure, we need to let go. This reminds me of a wonderful Zen parable about these 2 Zen Buddhist monks that are walking through the forest. They come across this bride who is crying by the river, and they ask her what's wrong. She says that her wedding is on the other side of the river and she can't cross it because she'll ruin her dress. The 2 monks look at each other. They're not sure what they should do because they are forbidden by their monk vows to touch women. However, the first monk, he doesn't hesitate. He scoops up the woman, he carries her across the river, puts her down the other side, and she happily goes off to her wedding. The second monk, seeing what has happened, races across the river, screaming at the first monk, "How could you have touched this woman? How could you have broken our monk's vows?" As they're walking back to the monastery, the first monk is enjoying the bright sunshine, the cool breeze on his face. But the second monk is still enraged. He's saying, "How could you have touched that woman? How could you have carried her across the river?" When they get back to the monastery that night, they're having dinner. And the second monk continues to berate the first monk, saying, "How could you have touched that woman? How could you have carried her across the river?" And the first monk says, "What woman?" The second monk says, "The woman you carried her across the river." The first monk said, "I only carried her across the river. You carried her all the way back to the monastery." In business, to get true business confidence, we need to let go of whatever our last business result was. This rubber band ball represents your last business result. When it's a success, we want to hold it close, right? We want to cherish it. We want to show everyone what we've achieved. We want to frame it on our wall. We want to get a trophy, right, so we can put it on our desk. And when it's a failure, what do we want to do? We also want to cherish it. We want to hold it close. We want to hide it, right, because we're ashamed. In order to develop true business confidence, we need to take whatever the last result was and let go if it's success or failure and bounce so you can take the next action you need in order to get to your next great success.